Hello everybody and welcome to this series of videos demonstrating the Dremio Lakehouse Platform. And this series of videos is going to be a bit of a different demonstration. What I want to do is not just show you the functionality of Dremio, but help you get hands-on with it from the context of your laptop. So this first video is going to be about how you could set up if you want to follow along with this workshop. If you don't, you can skip to the next videos and just kind of watch me go through the user interface and the different features of Dremio. But if you would like to follow along or do a lot of these exercises on your own, I do have this GitHub repo where you can actually clone down the environment that I'll be using for this video, completely running from my laptop. Okay, so there's the URL. I'll make sure to include it in the video description. But essentially, you would just clone down this repository, which I have open right here in my Visual Studio Code editor. And essentially, I have a few different folders that I want to make sure you're aware of. In case you wanted to seed some extra data other than the sample data that I've included, you can include any sort of other data files here in this Minio data folder to be included in your data lake. And in this Postgres seed folder, there's an SQL script, and you can add any SQL here if you want to kind of create other sample data sets in the Postgres database that gets spun up. But in this environment, essentially what's going to happen is we're going to have, I think, quite a few services. So let me actually bring up the docker compose.yaml. Let me close a lot of this extra stuff, which is going to include Nessie, which is going to act as our iceberg catalog to track our iceberg tables. So essentially the key to our data lake house aspect. Minio, which is going to act as our data lake, essentially our storage for our data. There'll be a Spark notebook if we wanted to kind of run, mainly it's going to be there if we want to run any kind of Python or PySpark, which we may do in some of the later videos. There's Dremio, again, the Data Lakehouse Platform, so that makes that available. And Postgres, so that we can actually see connecting a database to Dremio, and Superset, so we can create BI dashboards. So in order to spin up this environment, all you have to do is docker compose up -d. Now the -d just makes it where you don't have to see all the output over and over again in your terminal. So if I hit this, this will begin spinning up all these containers. And I'm going to give that a moment. Then once that is done, there's going to be one more command we need to run just to initialize Superset, which is this command over here. But we'll give that a minute before we do that. Now, basically, once it's done, which again may take a moment, so let's just see if it is done. First step I would check is I'd head over to localhost 9001, because this should be where the Minio user interface is available, which perfectly is up and running. Now if all goes well, I should be able to log in with the username of admin and password. This is all specified in that docker compose file. Okay, and then I can see that I have two buckets, Data Lake and Data Lakehouse. Okay. Ideally, the Data Lakehouse or the Data Lake bucket should have some sample data in there. Let me just take a look in there, and yep, there is the sample data. Okay, so we're in good shape. The data was copied over. Let me just do a hard refresh just to make sure that it reflects it. Okay, that's fine. But the data was copied over, and that's what matters, because that's going to be our sample data for some of the stuff we'll work on throughout these videos. So once that is set up, what I want to do is go run that Superset command, because Superset should have been up and running by now. So I'm going to hit paste. And this what this does, it runs the init command on Superset that helps initialize a lot of its functionality. Okay. And that generally is going to take a few minutes. Cool. And then, if all is all set up, we should see Dremio hopefully by now on localhost 9047. And there it is, and then we can set up our initial username. Okay, and then I'll set up the password of password 2024, password 2024, with an uppercase P. And there we are. We now logged in. And again, the reason why I stated the password is you are going to want your username and password for some of the later exercises when we start accessing Dremio externally. But with that, you do have Dremio set up. And then within, basically once this command is over, superset is initialized. So we're off to the races to begin working with our environment setup. Again, how fast all of these containers will run simultaneously will depend on your particular setup. Generally, you want to make sure you have allocated about 6 gigs of RAM to Docker in order to run all these containers simultaneously. So just some things to keep caveats if you're looking to do this hands-on on your computer. But with that, I'll see you on the next video.